Welcome to the show. It's deep with a twist. We're laughing through the scriptures where humor coexists. Cultural, come on and take a seat. It's faithful and it's fun wherever it meets feet. Dive into the stories. Hear the podcast call. It's morning stuff with a smile in the cultural hall.
It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. It is an Articles of News episode, and I am joined by Molly the Ash Ashton. Welcome in. We're going to do lots of news. Sometimes when Molly and I, it's just a couple of girls, and we talk about all the things, and we go, oh, we meant to talk about news. So I'm promising news, but Molly said, no, wait, I've got things, so preamble me away, opening exercise me away. We turn the time over to the Relief Society for announcement.
Well, I haven't been here for a while. It's been a very crazy week for me. Today is my birthday. That's
Happy
what I wanted to tell
birthday!
you.
Oh, come on! I didn't know you were agreeing to do this on your birthday. Now I feel like I should have given you a gift that was more than just talking about news. Your husband got a thing from me that he'll give you later. That's
Okay, perfect.
yeah. Part of
that's
what he gives you later is from me. There,
It's from
Happy
you.
birthday.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yep.
You know, he actually, anyway, my gift is funny. He had my rims on my car finished, painted
Okay.
or whatever, because they're
Yeah.
black. And occasionally, if you take a corner too tight, not me, him
No.
or my child driving my car, of
Or
course.
not you.
Not me.
No.
Never. They get scraped a little bit. But it's really not me, honestly. I don't know where it comes from. So that was actually a really fun surprise because they're so pretty. And also, yeah, so you're lucky, blessed with my presents on my birthday. Although birthdays, we've talked about this before, I think they're not a big thing for me as
No,
far
they
as
don't
being
matter.
an adult. No, they don't matter. And in fact, the other big news is this week why it was crazy. My son has been performing in the Little Mermaid musical at his high school. He has been Chef Louis, and he's absolutely stolen the show every single day.
Oh, awesome.
It's amazing. And so people are like, what are you doing for your birthday? I'm like, it's closing night of Little Mermaid. And I'm like so sad and also so happy I get to spend my day with my son and his friends. I've been feeding the cast and crew every day. And anyway, it's been a crazy week, but I'm glad to be here for an hour that we can talk about news.
Now, Chef Louis is Le Poisson, right?
Oh, yes. And he
Okay.
is so good at it. Like
Yeah.
he desperately wanted to be King Triton, and he tried and tried and tried. And he's like a big kid. He's whatever. And I really thought he'd get it, but then he got Chef Louis, and so he's really bummed. And the day he got the cast announcement, he was really upset. And he goes, "I wanted, King Triton so bad, and then I got the role of the fat chef." And I'm like, you know what though? Because he's a big boy. I'm like, it's a way better role for him. And honestly, no one remembers King Triton in the show. Afterwards, people are dying over Chef Louis because he absolutely was the comical, relief for the whole show. And I'm not allowed to post videos online because of licensing, but I've sent it to like all my friends and family all over the country. And they're like, okay, he was so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good. Yeah, it's interesting going through stuff like that where you're like, oh, my heart's set on. And sometimes other people are able to go, oh, but you know what? You're more of a this. And we always want to see ourselves as something else. But when we can finally see ourselves as to what we really are, that's when we embrace power.
There is a good message there. I love that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
True.
That's awesome. You are such a stage mom. I can't even handle it.
It's been so fun. I'm really sad. It'll be a good way to end my birthday though. But
Oh, yeah.
that's what's going on with us.
Will you do a birthday party / end of night cast party? Are you inviting yourself to the cast party because it's your birthday?
No, they go to IHOP after the show. They stay there till like 2 a.m. I do not need to do that. I'm going to come home and go to bed. It's been an exhausting week. I've been working on costumes and props and, fixing all the last minute things. And like I said, feeding the cast and crew. So I'll be ready for bed tonight.
Yeah. The gift for you is that you get to go to bed.
Right.
He can nudge you when he gets home. Mom, I'm home. Great. Go. It's my birthday still. Please let me sleep. Please let me sleep. Please. Well, I'm excited. I'm trying to think if there is anything. It's just a bunch of work. I go, I guess I'll share this. So, the best DJ in Utah stuff. I always talk about how I'll travel and do things in different places. Next week is a first for me. I will be traveling to Florida for an event. In Florida, I will be both emceeing and DJing a 3-day outdoor lighting conference.
Oh, wow.
So these different guys who want to learn how to sell their outdoor lighting better.
Yeah.
I am their MC and I am their DJ. So playing the walk-up music and walking them through networking games and things like that. I am their host,
Cool.
as it were. So
And where are you doing that? Did you say?
it's in Orlando at a hotel. So I'm going to be in Florida, which is nice, in a hotel, which is not as nice. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Are you
I may
spending an
get-
extra day or anything to enjoy yourself?
Yeah, good question. I'm going to go out because I wanted to make sure that I was there. The first day of this conference is sort of half day and not nearly as intense. I'm coming in the day before to make
Okay.
sure, first of all, with flights that I'm there. Second of all, that I can, maybe eat at downtown Disney or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm that close. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah,
That's
it will. It's an experience.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm stretching. I am growing. I am learning. I'm having opportunities for growth. Read
Awesome. I love
failure,
it.
but I'm trying not to say failure anymore. So just opportunities for growth. I
That's
think it'll be
awesome.
fun. Yeah, it
It'll
should be
be
pretty
fun.
fun.
Very cool.
In news today, we're going to talk not only about all the Secret Life stuff, because of course, we'll also talk about David Archuleta's memoir, which I have finished. So I'll give my unofficial book review of that. And a whole lot of really serious, oh my gosh, this is terrible kind of stories, from murder to abuse and all of that. In fact, that is how we will start our articles of news. So just so everyone knows that we're going to go heavy to light in this articles of news. So we will take a break and come back in the second half with actual articles of news. The turning of another year makes me start to think about how I have not done one of these ads for Best DJ in Utah in over a year. I'm sorry, everyone, but it means business is good. It means you should hire Best DJ in Utah. Why, that's me, and I even have people that work for me, trained by me, affordable, and travel all over. Literally all over. Going to Florida this year, for instance. And this year means 2026, not this year, which could have been several years in the past, like we've been doing. You can go to bestdjinutah.com, or you can go and find us on our Google business page. It's Best DJ in Utah. You will see that as of the recording of this, almost 700 5-star reviews. Find out what so many listeners of the Cultural Hall have already found out. I'm great at parties. I'm great in your ear holes, but I'm also great at parties. So find out if I'm available for your date. We can help you out. Weddings, baptisms, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, funerals. I'll do a funeral. BestDJinUtah.com. Here in the second half of Articles of News, we do actual articles of news, so please take it away, won't you please, Peter?
You can't lose articles of news.
And away we go. We start with the Corey Richins murder trial. Are you following any of this? This is a fascinating story. We've talked about it here in Articles of News before.
Yep. I was following it, and I haven't recently, so I am really excited to hear what the latest update is.
So you'll remember, and I'll set the stage for those of you who maybe don't know about this. Husband and wife, both members of the church, loosely, apparently, maybe were sort of exiting, or maybe a little bit lax, or I don't want to define anyone about that, but they had been baptized members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They in a considerable amount of debt. I know that I'm summarizing this. People that are fans of this story are like, you're missing all the things. She is alleged to have poisoned her husband. Now, he, in true, like, how this works with husband and wife kind of crime, he said to family of his, hey, if I die, I need you to know it's probably my wife who killed me. And she had tried to poison him before and was not successful, or put a different way, he allegedly had been poisoned before and it was not successful. Ultimately, the poisoning was successful. Defense claims that it was an overdose of fentanyl. But what's new about this, because she is in court, there is new body cam footage for the moment that she allegedly found out that her husband was dead. So you get to see the moment where he says, "Oh yeah, your husband. He's not responding. he is likely passed. And you see her cry, and you see her, all of this. And then just the sort of added layer to the intrigue of this whole story. This Corey Richens, she also wrote a book about grief and death of a loved one, how you deal with it, if dad or mom dies, and published this book, Are You With Me? About a father with angel wings watching over his son after dying. There's all sorts of stuff that has come out along the case, but it is in fact in the court right now. And the latest of this whole thing is that you see the body cam footage of her finding out that he has in fact passed. So,
I mean, when you think about that and you think he literally warned people, if I die, it was probably her. That would not be happening in my life. Like, I mean, that's very weird. And I think to me, it's like, that's a no-brainer. It's obviously, and it's a very interesting case. And yeah, I don't know. And interesting.
Well, to me, I mean, the big joke that I see all the time at weddings is that, the big joke is that, well, if ever you're going to be killed, it is the most likely person that is going to kill you is going to be your spouse.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So there's sort of that joke. So, I mean, even though, your relationship, you wouldn't allow it to get as such that it's like, listen, I think my husband might kill me. I understand what you're saying. Like, I would not continue to be in that relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that is a part that baffles me about this, and is not the point. Don't poison your spouse, just divorce them, admit that you're in debt, etc.
Right.
Certainly needs to be said out loud so that the haters don't come after us. But I just, why would you stick around with someone where you're like, hey, if I die, look at Molly. She might be the old culprit here. She might be the one who did that.
Yep.
I don't know. You always want to assume, because of how the courts work, the innocent until proven guilty. But like, I just watched the video and I was like, actor, faker.
Yeah.
Or like, how much did you work on the fake crying? Like all this stuff. It's
but it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, at least that's how I feel for sure.
Okay.
And this next story, this is one that not only we've kind of talked back and forth about, but you're like, this is super important that we talk about it. So let's get to it.
So I think it's interesting. This is about former Bishop Bo Euler, who posted on social media a video about the mishandling of the church, the church helpline when abuse cases have come about. He was a former bishop, as I said. And it's interesting, this one in particular, because we do read and hear about this, accusations of this quite often, but it isn't very often that the church responds in such a way. So they responded to his allegations. Basically, he was implying that victims, church leaders, and the public's understanding of the reporting of the abuse, that it is inaccurate and that the church didn't handle it well, et cetera, et cetera. And he refers back to August of 2013, so 12 years ago, that he called into the helpline and he claims that he wasn't given the help needed. And I won't go into all of the details about that, but the church responded and basically said, we don't have any account of him, until this day, 12 years later, that he's speaking ill of the experience that he had. But the records show that the actual sequence of events differ greatly from the narrative that he has presented, over a decade later. The records show that he contacted the abuse line 3 times over a 3-day period. And during those calls, he spoke not only with an attorney, but also a licensed social worker trained to address abuse situations and victim support. It talks about how at the time of the first call, the personnel understood there was a licensed therapist there listening, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to read through the whole article, but from what the church says, during the course of those calls, the social worker discussed the steps to support the victim and family. They understood that the abuse had already been reported. I think that's really interesting and important to note, is that they confirmed that abuse had already been reported to the authorities. And anyway, I just think it's basically the church is saying, no, we actually handled this correctly and we did what we needed to do. And I think we're seeing so many situations lately come about where there's claims that it was mishandled. So I appreciated reading this and understanding that, no, they did follow the sequence of events they needed to, and they did their part. And I don't know what else they could have done.
The thing that becomes difficult for me, though, about this is, like, as I understand it, this former bishop doesn't stand to gain anything from the church. Like, he's not suing the church.
Yeah.
He's not, going to sue his way into a better position in the church or a better calling or anything like that. And so a difficult thing for me when I see individual makes claim, church makes claim, the thing that becomes super difficult for me is I go, how are they so very different?
Right.
I mean, heart of hearts, I guess I want to believe that the church would be 100% transparent, and this is what we did, and then there's this, and then there's this. But I might come at as where, like, someone could say, "Oh yeah, no, you didn't do all this," or this was my experience, and to have it not be that, like, he's just lying, trying to discredit the church, and maybe there's some of that, but I can't imagine that he just, like, maliciously made up an entire thing about it, and that's where I start to get suspicious of things. Even when the church says, we did this, and then there's this, and then there's this, they're not ever going to come out and be like, yeah, foul, we dropped the ball, oh my gosh, we didn't do anything right. They're not ever going to do that. That's what's so difficult for me about things like this.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I view it a little bit differently, I think, and this is obviously just my opinion, but it feels like sometimes when this happens, it is because someone has something against the church as a whole. And I do wonder, and you did mention it, maybe that's the issue, maybe that is part of why he did this. And I think that when we remember things, our memories can be very distorted as to what our beliefs now are versus our beliefs 13 years ago. And it makes me wonder if it is that he's seen other cases and he's like, oh, well, maybe that happened and maybe it was like this. And I actually am like, I don't know his standing on the church. I know he's not a member. He's not a member anymore, but does he hate the church? Is he just one that's leaving it alone? Or I don't know, but it did make me feel, after reading this, and I read this actually several weeks ago or a couple weeks ago when it first came out, it did make me just kind of wonder, he just has something against it. And I have to say, I maybe have mentioned this one time before. My cousin's husband, he is a court reporter, and he has told us years ago, and he's atheist, doesn't believe in God. But he said, I will tell you, in my experience, when there are cases of abuse and the LDS church is involved, those cases are much easier. They usually accept responsibility faster than other organizations do. And he said, I've been really actually very impressed by the way the LDS church handles those kinds of things. And I just thought that was interesting. He told me that like 15 or 20 years ago. So I don't know. I tend to kind of believe what, the church has recordings of what actually transpired. I don't think Bo Euler has those recordings. So I don't know.
Yeah. But certainly the church doesn't have like transcripts of the telephone calls or anything like that. So it does very much become,
yes,
no, we said that.
Right.
No, you didn't. Right. Yes, we did.
But do they have some, I mean, is there, like transcript, like, a doctor has to have things transcribed.
Sure.
Like,
I do not think so. I think and where I think some people have issue with it is the fact that they don't hold on to those calls because they don't want them to be able to be, and this is sort of now larger conspiracy, right? They don't hold on to them because they don't ever want them to be like, subpoenaed for court cases and things like that. Also, I'm happy to be wrong about this. contact@theculturalhall.com. If you know for a fact that what I'm saying is incorrect, send me an email, contact@theculturalhall.com. Would love to know more about that. When I hear stories like that, and then like this next one, this is an Oregon woman who has sued the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, claiming that a bishop told her not to report years of sexual abuse by a high priest. I feel like a lot of people will dismiss it like, well, it happens in every organization, and it does, but I don't feel like that's the way to deal with something like this.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, to dismiss it. Well, yeah, I mean, it happens everywhere. You want them to be perfect? No, I don't want them to be perfect, but I would like them to be doing literally everything that they could. Exactly. This woman who was then a member of the church, alleged she was raped by the high priest in 1995 when she was 10 years old, and the abuse continued for 5 years until she was 15. The high priest, whose name the newspaper did not disclose, had served in the First Ward in Las Vegas in the East Stake. In 1999, the teenage girl told a bishop who oversaw the ward about the alleged abuse, the lawsuit says, but he told her not to report it to the police. He said, quote, "I'll handle the situation," according to the lawsuit claims, but the church ended up telling the high priest that the girl reported abuse and took no meaningful action to prevent further harm. The lawsuit accuses the church of negligent supervision and a breach of mandatory duty to report suspected child abuse. According to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints website, quote, "Abuse, including sexual harm, cannot be tolerated in any form, and those who abuse will be accountable before God." One of the things that I think is most difficult for me, and we don't see this necessarily in this story, but I certainly know that it happens, is that you get the well-intended bishop who says something like, "Well, I know Corey, and Corey would never do that." Or the self-inserting bishop who goes, "Yeah," like this, like we hear in this story. "Oh yeah, I don't think so. I'll take care of it. Let me just see what this is." Or, this could ruin his life, and I know he's got a family to support, so we can't take it to the police. Let me have that heavy-handed bishop conversation with him. And I just think that for me, in an optimal world, it is "Oh, this happened? All right, well, I'm sitting here with you right now, and you can call the police, or I will call the police. Yeah. But one of us is calling the police right now so that they know and I'm not taking your word on it. Yeah. I want to know that that's taken care of, because it would be my personal conscience that were I ever in that position, which we won't have to worry about, if I allowed something like that to continue to happen, I couldn't be all right with it. It is not as it is to be intended. Well, that was fun. Now we go to Little Rock. Take me here. Yeah.
Well, Little Rock, we have a similar type of lawsuit. A lawsuit filed in a Pulaski County court alleges a Little Rock church allowed a convicted child rapist to keep a position of authority in the church over the girl he abused. So this was a gentleman. He was accused of abusing his stepdaughter from the time she was 4 to 15 years old. It alleges that church officials were aware of the abuse and covered them up. The suit claims the church leadership was negligent and in doing so breached their duty to all involved, including the congregation. So, it said the stepfather, it was in 1993, the church heard her claims. The suit alleges that the church leaders subjected her to interrogation and blame after her stepfather told church officials she had seduced him. At 4 years old, apparently, she had seduced him. So this begs the question of what kind of sick people are there, in the world? And it is very disheartening that there are men in positions of authority in the church that would have those opinions and allow that to happen. Just like you said, if it was me, I would hope that I would say we are calling the police right now. And there's no questions asked. Like there's no other thing that you do when there is a situation like this. You call the police and maybe they find that the dad is innocent. Okay. But we've done the work and the part to protect this child, which they did not do. The lawsuit claims that they ended up forcing the girl into foster care with another church family while mandating that she continue to attend the church where her stepfather maintained a position of authority after he gave testimony in the church and asked for forgiveness. To this day, the girl ended up suffering from PTSD and depression. It states that she ended up dropping out of high school, becoming pregnant, later putting that child up for adoption. It also states that the stepfather abused other children, including a child with Down syndrome. So many, many issues here, and this just it shouldn't be happening. And we need to do better. And again, I like to say when we read these stories, 1993, 1995, are we going to see in 15, 20 years from now, 2026, was this happening? I sure hope not, but there are still sick people in the world, and we need to do better and make sure that this isn't happening.
Yeah. I promise we're going to get to some stories that aren't like this, but here's another one. Jeffrey Butler Rock, a 70-year-old former U.S. State Department official and international lay leader for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, recently sentenced to 18 months in jail for misdemeanor sexual battery involving his now adult granddaughter. Now his estranged family members speaking out, warning the public that there may be other undiscovered victims due to his decades of access to children globally. He's accused of molesting his granddaughter when she was between the ages of 5 and 8. He pleaded guilty to 3 lesser charges of sexual battery this last December. 5 of Rock's relatives, including his stepdaughter, stepson, niece, and ex-wife, have publicly accused him of a decades-long pattern of severe and sexual and physical abuse, grooming, and manipulation. And then also a non-relative has come forward as well. Throughout his career as a diplomat, he lived in various countries: Taiwan, Fiji, Indonesia, Thailand, China. In these locations, as well as in Utah and California, he was a Boy Scout leader, a youth leader, a bishop's counselor. And the church has said family members claim they repeatedly warned LDS church officials about Rock's predatory behavior over the years. They alleged the church offered misguided mercy to Rock, protecting him and allowing him to return to youth leadership roles rather than implementing strict guide and guardrails. Here's the thing for me. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily, though, I'm maybe willing to go to this length, and I guess it's the accusation. But, like, even if you've been, like, accused of some sort of sexual misconduct, I sort of think that you shouldn't be able to be around children.
No.
And maybe that's like a 2-strike thing. Like, if I'm accused and I'm found completely innocent, there's no sort of thing, and my behavior and demeanor and all of those things, like, from that time of that accusation, I completely change. Like, maybe I could see the case for allowing more than 1 strike. But otherwise, like, if it's, yeah, that guy's creepy, there's been the assertion that he's been, sexually inappropriate, or even just grooming, those kind of things, I think we just as a church have to go, no, stop, no way. I know we need a Boy Scout leader, but we can't. We can't do it. It can't be that person. Find someone else.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And then finally, of our heavy stories, let's go to Spokane, and then we'll get to some other stuff, some happy-ish news.
So in Spokane, a gentleman named Armando Torres Hernand was 23-year-old suspect has been detained on January 10th. A witness of one of the congregation's leaders mentioned that he was stalking and threatening female members of a congregation. He had previously attended that congregation, but as a result, a church leader contacted him and said he was no longer to attend services. It said that he had thoughts to bomb and shoot the LDS church members and wrote those all down in a journal. Since then, he's been incarcerated on a designated crisis responder hold after authorities were concerned he would harm himself or others. During the arraignment on Wednesday, the judge determined that he should be released from custody on a 90-day or less restrictive hold, referred to as an LRA. And, I reading this and thinking about this, it's like, why are we not taking these threats seriously? A little more seriously. He was on an involuntary commitment to a local hospital because of mental health issues. I mean, there are serious mental health issues that people have, and sometimes they cannot control their behavior. And this is someone who obviously has made serious threats. He has a mental health issue. He needs help for that issue. He does not need to be released right now.
Yeah. It is interesting to me that I've seen this sort of on social media a little bit. There are now these different, like, defense organizations is not the right word for it, but like places where you get your concealed carry and stuff like that are doing these like seminars for church safety. They're not calling it LDS church safety. And in fact, they're doing a lot of stories or a lot of different kinds of congregations. But you can come and learn about how to make your building, your worship service, your worship space safe. And I don't have the story because it's not Mormon adjacent, but there was an Islamic gentleman coming out of church here in Utah 2 nights ago. Oh. I think he's like the imam, the leader of this particular institution. Sorry that I don't have all the details. I wasn't planning on talking, but he was shot at. So, wow. I mean, it is the heat is turned up on on religious organizations of all types. And I think that you're going to just continue to see things like what happened in Michigan happen, unfortunately, and that we need to take things like this seriously, to your point, that we need to go.
Well, a few weeks ago at church, Andy, my husband, texted me. He's like, FYI, I'm doing security on the south side of the building or whatever. And I don't really know exactly what our stake or ward is doing, but I'm seeing emails of their, working towards being a little more heavy on the security. And I said, okay, great. And he said, did you hear about the guy who was in our church building like 3 weeks ago? And I said, no. And apparently a guy was sitting drawing pictures of guns and people being shot. And someone saw him in the back of the chapel during sacrament meeting doing this. He was asked to leave, I believe, that day, and then he returned the next week. They got a picture of him, a picture of the car, and now the church buildings within our stake, they're really close to each other. Everyone, they're doing security and they're watching for this particular guy. And so to have that happen like close to home, like that happen in our church building during our services, it feels a little bit scary and unreal. I'm very much an optimist about things. I'm like, oh, we'll be fine. It's fine. It's not going to happen here. We're just going to be on our best behavior, see what's going on, whatever. But now the church building, it's all the doors are locked during services except for the 2 main foyers. And we have to be careful. There's a lot of issues out there, and we just can't be too careful.
Yep. I wish that we didn't.
Yeah.
But we have to.
Yep.
That's the thing. That's
exactly.
the thing. I'm sort of bummed by all the news we've done so far. So I want to go. I sent you an order. Let's go through the Mormon moment one. So go to segment 5. We'll go to that order and go this way. I can do the first one because I sort of read through it a little bit more, and then you can do all of these things, including talking about seeing Whitney Levitt on Broadway coming up. We'll hear about that. Hang on. Okay. So the Mormon moment. This is an article that's in the Deseret News, and it was. Everyone's calling this the Mormon moment, and they, in true Deseret News fashion, were like, listen, it's not like the Mormon moment because questionable whether or not these people are actually like living out the principles of the church. So if we could probably like not call it like the Mormon moment, we'd super appreciate this. Certainly, there are cultural aspects that I think the mainstream part of the church would like to say, oh, yeah, no, you see that in the show, but we're not like that at all. And every honest member is like, there's an aspect of that that's real within my ward or in my congregation. So that part of it, I feel like, is kind of true. Also, it is so popular, this being like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, soon to be The Bachelorette, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. It is so popular that it is causing people to go, now wait, they just said a thing and I don't have anything about it. Some of that is dirty soda, where we'll go later in this news, but some of that is just like, wait, wives, multiple wives, what is that? Because they make jokes about that, or why do all the women's hair look the same, or why the way that they keep their homes, or the fact that men are typically the breadwinners, or all of that. And that is very much a like Mormon-ish moment being shared with everyone. So I don't completely refute what the Deseret News is saying, but they are very much trying to be like, don't call it a Mormon moment. We would say a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints moment, and it's not even that either. And I would say, that doesn't feel as honest. I think it very much is of interest to people in the nation, between our bloggers, our shows, or all of this stuff. People are still wanting to go, no, Now what's this?
Well, I mean, it kind of goes along with like the Book of Mormon musical, how long has that been running now on Broadway? And it's not it's not really something I want to watch or have watched, but it definitely brings the subject of Mormonism back to, the forefront of people's minds. And then it gets people curious. And whether it's exactly what we all believe and do and how we act doesn't really matter. It's putting us right there in the forefront of people's minds.
And I don't think that I think there's so many people that are like, and we even bought into some of it here where we chatted with the not so real Secret Lives or whatever the name of that book is that was put out. Like it is causing people to talk about us, and I don't think it's wholly negative.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think it's actually great. I think it's okay.
So do you have like an app on your phone counting down till The Bachelorette comes out?
No, but in fact, I'm not obsessed with any of these shows, but I love them. And is it March 22nd-ish? I think The Bachelorette is coming out. I mean, I guess I know that. I know that I come back from my spring break trip on that day, and so I will be watching it that night. I'm so excited. But there was Us Weekly just revealed that the 22 men vying for Taylor's affection were all asked. They wanted them to weigh in on whether or not they would be willing to convert to Mormonism and move to Utah and start a life with Taylor, Frankie, Paul if they were chosen. And Taylor has said like she doesn't require that whoever she meets and decides to court has to be Mormon. But she did say, obviously, I want them to align with my values and my morals and someone that does believe in faith and does believe in God. And she's like, when you're raising kids, it does become a factor. I don't know if it's a hard thing because I'm also very open-minded. I just want to hear people's perspectives. But overall, it seems like she wants to find someone who at least has some sort of faith in their life, whether it is the LDS faith or not. So
the cover photo with, the press amping up, and she's holding the book of More Men, M-O-R-E, Men, M-E-N. Yeah. I don't know. I can't decide if that's clever or if it's a little hokey the first time I saw it, and then I was like, I don't know that I hate it maybe as much as I thought I did. Undecided as far as that goes, but it's this ginormous volume, the book of More Men. Yeah.
Well, and have you seen that photo? I saw it going around first a couple of weeks ago, and then I saw friends post, but look at all these other Mormon influencers that are, much more in line with the mainstream Mormon church. And I thought that was kind of clever and cool. It's like they're showing this, but then also these, videos of all of these really amazing women. There are amazing women and men who are doing really great things for our church and for what we, really believe in how we are. So anyway.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting too. Put to test your MODAR, the Mormon radar, and look at the 22 bachelors that are going to be on the show. Because some of them are members of the church. This is a fun little play at home game. Because in their bios, you can find out if, in fact, they have ever been or if they're currently active members of the church, etc. It's a fun game to play. Maybe do it for a family home evening if you still do that. Kurt says it's dead. I tend to think it might be coming back, resurging. But little flip cards, maybe you put them on note cards and you go, Mormon or not? And then everyone bets, and then you could do a prize overall. So
that actually sounds so fun. I might have to do that.
But there are some that are so very obvious, and I don't know if it is just like the Mormon radar, or maybe I'm just super judgmental, or I don't know what it is. But I went, yep, nope, not that guy. Yes, this guy. Nope. And I was pretty accurate as I went.
Were you? Okay, yes. I don't know the exact number. I had heard there were like 5 of them that either are or were. Is that about this?
Yes.
What? Okay.
Yep. Okay. That's this. I read that same thing.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm going to have to make my guesses. I haven't made them yet.
So good luck, because there's 22 of them.
I know. I mean, that's a lot, but anyway.
A lot of chance to fail. But how good is your Mormon radar?
I would say it's pretty good. So we'll see. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I will tell you, I used to watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I haven't watched it in years. But I'm going to watch this. They're very smart, these entertainment companies that are like, well, we're going to take her straight from the Mormon Wives to this because they now have another viewer. And I'll probably let my daughter watch it. We'll probably watch it together, So anyway. Great marketing, great tools they're using, and I'm excited to see how that one goes. Also very excited for season 4 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And we just found out that all of the ladies on there have been given executive producer credits, which good for them. I mean, and I'm like, what does that exactly mean? Well, what it means is they now get a fee per episode on top of their actual salaries. So good for them for negotiating that deal. I mean, there wouldn't be a show without them, so they might as well be the executive producers as well. But it also allows them a little bit of creative influence into the actual episodes and what is done. So, but notably, Demi is absent from the executive producer list and from the season 4 cast. She has been downgraded as a friend rather than a full-time cast member, which I think we all saw that probably coming. And she does appear on the trailer, however, so she'll be in there. But apparently she is working on her music career now. So that will be fun to see if that goes anywhere. But this season will highlight the Bachelorette process. We'll see a lot of the Dancing with the Stars with Jen Affleck and Whitney Levitt. And then Macy Neely will be on her book tour. So it's all things that have already happened, but it will still be fun to watch. And season 5 that deal has been signed and it is in the works as well. So
any idea on a number of episodes? I'd anticipate 20 because that's what we've been told for season 4.
Yes, and I think season 5 is going to be probably similar, is what I read. I thought. So.
All right. Well, that means we get to talk about your little trip to Broadway. Then let's talk about it.
Yep. So I'm heading to New York on Sunday with my girlfriend. We are going to see Whitney in Chicago on Monday night.
And I love that your first name with her. We're going to see my friend Whitney. She's you know.
And we'll do our best to get a picture with her and everything.
Of course you will. You will stage door the crap out of that.
We will absolutely stage door the crap out of that. I actually am super excited. I am not necessarily a fan of Chicago, but she's apparently doing great. They said that typically Chicago was bringing in about $600,000 a week in sales. I can't find the article, so I'm remembering off the top of my head. But when she was introduced to it, they're now bringing in like $1.3 million a week, which is incredible. I mean, almost doubling the revenue. The ticket price average was about $89 per ticket. Now with her in it, it's like $155. Wow, I remembered those details pretty well.
Yeah, you did. Jeez, you are crushing this.
Anyway, so her role was extended through, I think, end of April 5th. Sorry. And obviously this is, the producers of Chicago are like, let's keep a good thing going. We've got this great revenue coming in. And Chicago is one of those shows that they like to bring in this outside talent to help drive sales anyway. And it wouldn't surprise me if she extends longer. I've heard great things about it. The reviews have been fantastic. She actually beat out just recently in the last couple of weeks, The Book of Mormon, Great Gatsby, Hadestown, Moulin Rouge, and The Outsiders. I've seen all of those except The Book of Mormon, all great shows. And that's actually incredible that Chicago is beating those shows out. So good for her.
Yeah, the kind of stunt casting that they do with something like that, there will be an expiration for that with her. Like she's great, but they will need to appeal to other people at a different time. I remember when I was in New York, this is 25 years ago, and Rent was still on Broadway, and they brought in Joey Fatone from NSYNC and had him be one of them as well, and Scary Spice was Mimi in the one that I saw in particular. They definitely take people like from one realm and say, people that are huge fans of this will come and see this show for this, and we can kind of stunt that for a little bit. And great. Yeah. It is commendable to know that it is being extended on the back of her. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, my daughter, who is a big Broadway fan, she was here for a couple of days this week, and we were talking about Whitney Levitt and how she's doing so well. And my daughter's like, there is no other role she could ever do though on Broadway. And we're like, what? Maybe. And so we're all having a family discussion, and we've literally, I was just in New York last week for my son's field trip. So I just saw Hadestown and Chess and The Outsiders. And my daughter's like, could you imagine her in any of those? I'm like, well, no. Okay. So we're going through all the shows, and I'm like, okay, this is a great role for her.
Catty daughter. Listen, let her be in shows. She could be in shows.
I could actually see her in Six or Moulin Rouge. I mean, I don't know how deep her acting abilities are, but she can clearly dance and sing. And like Six is a great show for singing and dancing. And so I don't know. Yeah. Good for her. Let's see if she extends us into other things.
And in 2 months, she may never do it ever again, but great for her. Gets the opportunity to do it. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
These next two stories, I don't want to spend too much time about just because we don't really spend too much time talking about the Real Housewives. One of them is the one that you brought to light. The other one is that I had sent you beforehand. I'll let you take both of them if you'd like.
Okay. I do watch the Real Housewives of Salt Lake. It's one of my favorite shows. And Mary Cosby, who isn't LDS, but she actually is a preacher of a church there in Salt Lake. Her son just passed away, I think just yesterday from recording of this, and he died of a drug overdose. And this has actually been a theme.
Are they saying that finally?
The article I read said a drug overdose.
It was a drug overdose because when I first read it, they said, we don't know for sure, but it's very likely, but it did come out that it was a drug overdose. Shoot.
Yep. This has been a theme in the last two seasons where She, let me just double check. Sorry, he died so they confirmed a possible overdose. Okay. So that confirmed possible, but it's been a theme that he has been having some issues with drugs, and just, it's been really hard for her. It's her only child, and it's really sad. She's seems to be a very good mom, very loving mom. Obviously, it's awful to lose a child, but it's, I don't know her. I don't know him, obviously, but I've been watching this show for 5, 6, 7 years, however long it's been out. So you feel like you've watched him grow up. I've seen him when he was a teenager and now a 23-year-old. And so it does feel like it's very heartbreaking. And she's been really helping him. He's been in rehab a few times, and just the struggle as a mom to have him go through that. So really, really sad. Secondly, the second article was about Jack Barlow. He had, this is an interesting article though, because he returned from his mission in June of last year, 2025. Prior to that, during the middle of his mission, he actually came home for a little while because he was having some health issues, and then went back out on his mission. Now, as of January 2026, he's settled back into life in Utah. He is living at home and attending the University of Utah, thriving in his group of friends, and just kind of settling into post-mission life. So what's interesting about that is you have Lisa Barlow, who owns a tequila company, and you wouldn't think when you watch her.
And is not LDS.
She is LDS.
But like active and the whole thing, and owns this tequila company?
She claims.
Okay.
I mean, she didn't.
Is she the Mormon 2.0, or is that okay?
She is the Mormon 2.0. So she, but she's definitely happy to drink on the show and fight with the ladies and everything. But no, she claims that she still attends church, and she's still, so proud of him when he served his mission. Her husband seems maybe a little more active-ish, but I've seen him drinking too. I know when her son went through the temple, she didn't. Her husband might have gone. But no, she actually claims to really still love the religion very much. Just is the 2.0, not exactly living as I would call myself a 1.0. She's
You're an OG. She's a 2.0.
I'm an OG. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to drink my dirty sodas, not my tequila.
Yeah, you are. Look at that segue. Let's go there. This was a huge article about how dirty soda just continues to take over the world, and are blaming it on the Mormon-born soda craze. In case people didn't know, I'm going to go real basic on you. What is a dirty soda? Well, it can be anything that is flavored with syrups, purees, and cream. I think for a little part of my life, I thought it was only dirty if you did the coconut cream or the creamer or things like that. It is technically a dirty soda if you put anything in it that isn't just the pure soda. So there's a little dogma about dirty sodas for everyone. Began over a decade ago, as the article talks about. It's things like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. In fact, most focus on the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, that Gen Z's preference for highly aesthetic, personalized drinks are coming about. They're drinking less alcohol, driving demand for fun, non-alcoholic alternatives. Utah-based chains like Swig and Fizz are now expanding out of the Mountain West to the East Coast. Fizz, especially in New York and Connecticut most recently. Business owners are calling it a revival of the old-fashioned soda fountain, which, okay, I get it. Cool. Coke and Pepsi are laughing all the way to the bank because they go, you got to put all that sugar into some other kind of sugar, and we make it. So, yes, please. All of the dirty sodas, but making that so that people can be a part of it. It's wild to me. I don't do a dirty soda. I have fears of a dirty soda. People that drink, it's so much.
Yeah.
Now, I drink a Red Bull every day, so I am not without judgment, right? It's 12 ounces, though, and it is for the caffeine, and that is all that I drink anymore. Like, I'll do weddings where they do runs for the bride and groom and the bridal party, and it's like 7,000 ounces of soda. They're coming in with armfuls to these things, and I'm just like, diabetes.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the dirty sodas. We have our own little setup at our house of all of our flavorings, and we have our, creamers in the fridge and our purees and everything. We do everything zero sugar though. Not that that's much better. I know it's fake. I know
it's terrible. No, it's terrible.
And I can't imagine doing the full leaded sugar of all of it and drinking like 7,000 calories. But you know that we're doing dirty soda at Crumble here soon. It's launched
I've
in
heard.
Canada and a few stores in the US. I actually am one that's pushing back on it because I don't think we are the driver. Like, I don't think it's the right place. We don't have a drive-through like Swig does. That's what's great about Swig is you go to the drive-through. I'm like, no one's coming to Crumble to get a dirty soda. Maybe it'll be great. I think I'm going to be required to do it, and it's a huge investment.
Sure.
But I'm a big fan of the dirty sodas. But my son sent our family thread something the other day. The Salt Lake Bees announced that on Wednesdays, they are now the Utah Dirty Sodas. Every Wednesday. It says,
oh my gosh.
They announced they will play as the Utah Dirty Sodas on Wednesdays this season. And it has a little Swig icon. So obviously Swig is now one of their sponsors.
Sure.
And so they were like, well, now you have to be, there's their little.
There it is. It's the Utah Dirty Sodas.
So, I'm all for, like, if we are getting people away from drinking alcohol, I'm all for loading them up with sugar or fake sugar. I mean, I don't know. But I do like that, how it said it's like the old fashioned soda.
Yeah. That feels pure to me. But
it's cool.
But the one thing that will always be a conversation in my household with my wife, who is not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and who very much loves coffee.
Yep.
Like, is a fanatic about coffee. I've never drank it. Everyone calm down. We're fine. We're able to exist. It is a mixed caffeinated marriage. We will forever talk about how Mormon people can have their gallon jugs of soda and purees and fillers and all of the things, and that we look at people drinking coffee and go, it's so bad for you.
So bad. I mean, I'm with your wife on this. Like,
yes.
I don't get it. And even more and more so, it used to be pretty easy to answer the question when people asked us why not coffee. Like, I felt like I could answer it. But with the introduction of all the Red Bulls and energy drinks, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just being obedient at this point.
That's all it is. If you try and find, and I've said this, but it's worth saying again, if you're trying to find a justification or like, here's the point, it's not. It is, not. I believe that God has said, in order for me to go to the temple, I can't drink that. That's it.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, you are making up stuff.
Right. Exactly.
End of story. Have you read David Archuleta's book?
No, I have it downloaded.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I can't wait though. I'm so excited to hear your review of it.
So Carrie is the one that when we recommended those books before, she felt like I led her astray by giving a book recommendation. Carrie, I want to speak to you specifically, but to the collective hall in general. I think that this is pretty worthwhile listening and or reading. Here is why I think so. One, I had no idea about a vast majority of this stuff with David Archuleta. The things that he experiences at the hand of his father is both tragic and so sad.
Oh,
I had no idea. I'm particularly impressed by his heart and by his desire to just serve and love God. Yeah. There are lots of things within the book, and I listened to it, so it's actually David Archuleta reading it, his voice. There are lots of things that, like, as he was saying them, I was like, that feels weird hearing that from your voice, right? He's talking about, there's a couple times that he swears, so it is a fairly mouthy book as far as that goes, so if that's sensitive to you, don't do it. And then also talks into a little bit of sexual exploration since he came out as gay and some of the things that go along with that. So it's appropriate into what he's talking about, but it's odd because this is cute little David Archuleta who would never say these things. Kind of, you sort of hear it that way. But I would challenge anyone. To read that book and come away from it and feel like, oh yeah, you know what? The way we're engaging the LGBTQ community is we're on lock. We're doing this right.
Yeah.
I think that people could contend we're doing some parts of this right, and it's not a condemnation of the church or saying, anything like that, but there is a desire to be a part, to to do what is right that David Archuleta not only has, had, and also conveys in his book, and then to hear of the different experiences he had with high leadership of the church. M. Russell Ballard specifically, who is former apostle who's now passed. Very specific instances with him where you just go, okay.
Yeah.
So that
I remember reading, I think maybe a People magazine article about where he mentioned some encounters with him. M. Russell Ballard, is that who it was? I know you just said it all of a sudden.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It sounds weird because it's Russell M. Nelson and M. Russell Ballard. Yep. I get it.
Yes. And I just remember just going, I don't want to know, but also it's important that we know and that we do better. And, I love that online critics have asked him and wondered, like, why you came out years ago, why are we just bringing this up again? And he really just says, I wrote it to help guide and support other people who are still closeted, both inside and outside of the church. And I think, I'm really excited to listen to it. I have it downloaded and I'll be listening to it this weekend. But I think we can all learn a lot from all of these memoirs. I mean, I'll say it about any, the Bad Mormon one, Macy Neely's, like we can just do better from the things we learn from people's lived experiences.
Yeah. And an interesting aside, I know that you read, at least I think you did, the I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Largely, he attributes him writing this book at the encouragement from her. She kept saying, David, you got to write this book. You got to write this book because they're friends. So,
that's awesome. That's awesome. That book was amazing. Like it was very interesting, touching, etc. So, yeah.
So we're to the point where we're just about an hour. We've got several more stories that we could get to, but Dr. Jennifer Finlayson Fife, previous guest of the Cultural Hall, and that's a great episode. We'll leave a link to that in the show notes if you have not listened to that particular episode. There's a story that talks about how within the church, we are having more conversations about sex. A dramatic change, she would allege. 15 years ago, she faced harsh backlash, including hate mail and church leaders discouraging women from listening to her, simply for suggesting that a woman explore her own body to understand her capacity for pleasure. Today, her audiences readily embrace discussions about desire, intimacy, and even the impacts of patriarchy. She's incredible, in incredible high demand. She does sold out live events, leads international couple retreats, was an amazing guest of the Cultural Hall. Have I told you should listen to that episode yet? She asserts that the LDS Church is moving away from fear-based teachings about sex and modesty, and furthermore says that Gen Z folks are receiving healthier messaging regarding strict gender roles and are far less likely to blindly defer to authority rather than older generations. So it also is interesting to note that this article says one of the things that makes her probably the most impactful, and I wish on some level that this weren't the case, but I know that it is, it's that she's still an active member of the church. And Dr. Julie Hanks sort of faced this. There were lots of people that were drawn to her because she was still in, and they could go to her and they felt like, hey, you're still in, same team, we can do that. You can see that attitude has changed since Dr. Julie Hanks left the church, that some of that power for those within who probably need the help the most has sort of dissipated because she's no longer a member of the church.
Yeah.
So that. Okay, we got time for one more story. You get a pick. Of any of the stories that are left, it's yours. Whatever you want.
I thought it was interesting. The lady who offered a $10 Swig gift card to get on a Zoom call with people who don't believe exactly like she believed.
Yes.
And I'm trying to find it right now, but she was one who was supporting or leading an anti-ICE protest, I think at BYU, and that she got kind of some backlash on that. And she just said, hey, let's get on a Zoom call. Let's talk about it. We can have differing opinions and differing points of view. I would be up for that. I mean, it just kind of said, like, who would be willing to do that? And she ended up, I think, having 5 people get on that Zoom call with her and kind of talk about their differences in beliefs. I think I've deleted the article, so I'm just remembering this all. But they had a really good discussion. And it even said that one of the people on that Zoom call said that he ended up contacting I think a cousin or an uncle after the fact and making up. They had previously broken up on social media over differing political opinions. And he said, you know what, I'm going to make up with this family member, and said that it was just really insightful and really, really awesome and eye-opening. And I just think that's really how it should be. We are all going to have differing opinions about politics, about policies, about what we're seeing happening in the country right now. And I'm not going to get into my family's beliefs or my exact beliefs, but we've had a lot of conversations about ICE over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Having a couple of children in college, a couple in high school, and there were walkouts at the high school. And my son was having friends like, hey, are you going to come do the walkout with me? And he's like, I'm not going to. And they said, oh, do you like ICE is awful?
Because you love them? Is that? Yeah, geez.
Right. And you know what? I just love this boy of mine. I love him so much. He said, you know what? I don't have enough experience or knowledge to know where I stand on this side. I totally support you as my friend to go do that. For me, I'm going to stay in class because this is where I need to be. And then a few days later, there was another one that was more of a MAGA kind of thing, from what I understand. And a couple of the kids went to that from this particular class, from his theater class. He didn't go to that either. And one friend tried to get him. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay in neutral ground. And he's like, I totally appreciate where you're coming from. And I love to listen and talk in here. And I just think, what can I learn from him? Like, is that like, let's talk, let's have this open conversation. I've got my two older kids that are on two opposite sides of the spectrum and trying to navigate that. It's fun. Difficult. It's fun. It's difficult. It's good. It's really good that we can discuss and we can talk about why these things are happening and why certain policies need to be in place and others need to be less restrictive and that sort of thing. So I appreciate this. And I would love to, especially getting a swig gift card. I would be on a conversation with anyone with any beliefs. And
you're like, for a swig, I'll do just about anything, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Joanna Brooks was the one who did that. A previous guest of the Cultural Hall a couple of times. She wrote a book. She was in on episode 411, which was one of our top episodes of that year. And then very early on, she had written another book, and I had the chance to host her in the first 25 episodes, I want to say. So links for that in the show notes. Yeah. We've done them all. We talked to everyone. We've been around so long, it's looping back around. That's how amazing this is. It's so amazing, in fact, that if you would like to be a celestial sponsor of the Cultural Hall, those Go Tar Heels, all that we do at the end, there is an opening for you to be able to do that. Today will be the last time that we will say, and Chris from Alpine Lakes Travel. So we will have someone that will replace that. If you go to patreon.com/The Cultural Hall, it is the celestial tier, $25 a month. And then we mention your name or your thing in every episode. It can be whatever you want within reason. I should probably say it won't be carte blanche, whatever you want, but you can do that. Patreon.com/The Cultural Hall. Molly, I hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
And if you weren't well enough to listen this week, you'll be well enough next week.
And that when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, go Tar Heels.
Debbie Wineless.
Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast.
Tiger with a U.
For the last time, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel and Latter Day 3D Studio. We'll be saving a seat for you.
On the back row.
Of the Cultural Hall. Happy birthday!
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back row. We really gotta go on the Cultural Hall show.